Hello, welcome to another video, and this is going to be a little bit different than videos I normally make. I don't normally make reviews or, in this case, rants of television shows, but I'm putting out another video that'll be in conjunction with this about how, ranting about, is Hollywood dying? Is the film industry dying? But this is a little bit different. I just finished, I watched it weekly because, this was drummed up as the event of the summer, and it super was not. The Idol on HBO, and holy fuck do I have some thoughts. First of all, this thing is a goddamn train wreck, from beginning to end. This thing fucking blows. There's nothing redeeming about it. No character in this show for the 5 hours that it is. None of it is redeeming. There's no character you're going to like. They're all terrible fucking people. The one character that maybe you can have a little respect and remorse for is quickly kind of tossed away every time that they want to do something. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's a show that is just shocking to be shocking, without substance, before we get into it, just to kind of give kind of a prerequisite here. I am someone that does watch Euphoria, so I know what this Sam Levinson guy is all about. And I think Euphoria is a really good show that has very good characters and characterization, a plot and a story that makes fucking sense. This show should have been a slam dunk, right? It's not. Because if its message is to tell you how superficial the music industry is when you get to the level of being a Miley Cyrus or a Lady Gaga or maybe a Madonna or something, everybody in the fucking world already knows that. So this show doesn't do anything to change your opinion of that. If anything, it just confirms that. There's a lot of graphic sexual content in this show just for the sake of having it, rather than it really being a part of the show, writing it in well. The thing that kept me hooked to the point, I just wanted to see how it ended, was the idea of, okay, so you have this character played by The Weeknd, and I'll be honest right now, before this show, I didn't really know shit about The Weeknd. I don't really listen to mainstream modern music. I'm more of an indie shoegaze alternative rock person. Okay, that's what I listen to, that's what I play, with my guitars and stuff over here. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in modern mainstream music because I think most of it is bad. So I'm not really familiar with The Weeknd. So the thing is, I went into this show being indifferent on The Weeknd, and this show has done nothing to make me like that person. If anything, I think this is going to damage his career. He plays a character who it's described as he runs this kind of cult thing, but they never get to the cult part of it. It's almost like the people writing this don't understand the concept of what a fucking cult is. So they had a perfect opportunity at the end of this show to kind of turn the show on its head and take it this cult direction, and they fucking just don't. Another thing that's very famous about The Idol, if you look up articles and stuff online, is it was announced to be a 6-part miniseries, and they cut one full episode towards the end to be more economic. That was the term officially used. I will tell you, going from episode 4 to 5, they cut out some vital fucking shit, because you have characters that were mildly disagreeing with each other. All of a sudden, they fucking hate each other. And it's what did I miss in this episode you cut from this show to tell me a more economic story? Fuck off. My prediction right now, this show is going to be pulled before the end of this year off of HBO, never to be seen again, so they can use it as a tax write-off. Normally, I would say, boohoo, that's a shame. I fucking hope it happens so people don't watch this, because it's just garbage. The first episode of this show kind of brings in all these different characters. You get all these music producers and people that run the main character. Her name is Jocelyn, played by Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose Depp, who, of all the actors involved in this, I think she's the one person that actually kind of seems like she gave a shit, and she does a pretty well job with the shit writing that she's given. I think there was a chance to tell a more interesting story with her character, but they keep it so fucking superficial that you can't even root for her character in this thing. The first episode, basically keeping it PG-13 here, deals with a very sexually graphic photo of her that has leaked onto the internet. And you have these music producers talking about it in, I guess some people could look at this and go shocking, way. But again, the thing about this show, you go over and you watch something or look at something like Euphoria, which has some of the same kind of stuff in it that's shocking. It's shocking because it works, and it works effectively because it's written into the story in a way that makes it so. Whereas here on this show, it's just put in to be shocking for the sake of being shocking, and it doesn't work the same way. And case in point with that first episode, they will show you the photo of the graphic image, and again, I've watched Euphoria, so it's, for some people that maybe, especially if you haven't watched Euphoria, it's not going to be very shocking to you. But that's as far as I want to talk about that photo. So, but that's kind of how this show starts, right? And then she goes off with her friend to a club, and that's where she meets Tetros, or people like to refer to him as Tetris, and I thought that was funny because that's about how much I fucking care about the character. And he kind of weasels his way into her life and takes it over. She famously is getting ready to put out a new album. It's already done, and this guy comes in and just starts controlling her life, not only through just some heinous sexual stuff, but also just abhorrent, just controlling. And it's pretty rough. Like, there are times where, like, it's pretty rough. Like, he puts her through some, like, 50 Shades of Grey shit. Again, I'm trying to skirt around not being too graphic here, but, and I'll be honest, like, they don't really show that much of it, so it's done in a way where I think the photo they show at the beginning is more shocking than any of the 50 Shades of Grey shit that's in this show. He does it through, like, that kind of stuff, but he treats her very heinously, and through that kind of brings out, like, a more raw vocal performance in her singing. So she kind of, with him, he takes over, like, being her music producer. And then, they go to these people and say, like, hey, we're going to throw out this album. She's going to put out 3 songs. They're all going to be hits, and that's what happens, right? That's, that happens to the course of a couple episodes. I'll be honest, I wish I could say there was more important stuff that happened in those episodes, but I'll be brutally honest, there really isn't. It's just like, here's the setup, here's like 2.5 to 3 episodes of fucking filler, and here's the last episode. But towards the end of the second to last episode, she kind of, like, reverts back to, like, no, I'm the one in charge here. Her ex-boyfriend comes over, and, like, there's a scene where basically she takes him upstairs to bang him while he sits outside, and you just kind of see his, like, controlling character crumble. And then at the end of this show, she basically takes over his, like, cult group of people. You have these different people in this cult, and I use the term very loosely. They're people that follow this Tetros guy, and they're all really incredible singers. And so her whole thing is, I want to bring these people, they're unsigned, nobody knows them, and I want to put them on my tour, and they're going to be my opening act. You have one character, this African American gentleman, who his sole purpose as a character, and I thought this was terrible, was he is like a decoy for this Jocelyn character's secretary, who kind of tells her, this is what you need to do today, that kind of thing. Basically, every time she's like, oh, this doesn't seem right, or she'll question something, this African American guy's sole purpose is to walk over to her and basically gaslight her into having sex with him. And it happens multiple times where it's just like, you could maybe care about that secretary character a little bit, but then that happens every time. And she's like, oh, okay. And then that just happens. It's fucking stupid, and it's very poorly written. Like, you get to the end of this show, and you right at the end of it, when it's all said and done, she's fucking in charge again, and she's been controlling him the entire time. That's the way that's the way the show wants to play it to you, right? So she has that dude kicked out of her mansion. She then takes over his, like, posse, And then they flash forward 6 weeks. He shows up at like her first show in LA, gets an artist pass, comes in. She all of a sudden is okay with him. They go out to the stage. She walks out with him, says some bullshit about, I have the love of my life here. And she brings that dude out. She like smooches him and then looks at him and says to him, I control you now. And that's the end of the show. And it's like, this was it? So this was hyped up as the event of the summer. You know, this thing fucking sucks. And you want a good primary example of bad writing. And one of the reasons why I think Hollywood is in the entertainment industry is failing right now with producing good products. This show, 100%. There's no likable character. There's nothing happening. She didn't really overcome anything. You can't tell me she overcame anything when the message at the end of the show was, she was actually controlling this dude the entire time. There's nothing about it. There's shocking stuff put in there just for pure shock value. It adds nothing to the story. I could go on and on. It's complete shit. It's a fucking travesty of a show. Like I said, it's a shame. I'm sure Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose Depp, is a great actress. This is the first thing I've seen her in. I know she's been in other things. She seems like she's good, you know, as an actress. I'd like to see her given something halfway decent. The Weeknd guy, like, this did more damage to that dude's fucking career. If I were him, I would kind of sit back and hope that this didn't come out. You know, that's how awful it is. You have it's odd. It's an odd show. Like, I couldn't, after watching it, like, who was it for? What was the message? What was the message taught? What was the message and the point of it when it was all said and done? That's a thing that I like to look at whenever I watch anything, be it a movie, a TV show, whatever. I can't look to it and say what the point of this was when it was over. It just was over, and I was like, okay, that was that. It's trash. It's the worst thing I've seen this year. It's worse than I watched Hypnotic a couple weeks ago. That's a fucking terrible Ben Affleck movie. Do not watch that. This was worse. Because at least I'll say this. That movie, somebody sat down and wrote it. It's not written very well, but somebody sat down and wrote it and actually gave a shit about trying to write something interesting. This is just a superficial piece of shit. Awful, terrible, awful, F. If I'm gonna give a letter grade, we're gonna say F. So a big fat F, or fuck you to the idol. Don't put this trash out. Man, like, it's to the point where, like, I don't even know if I'm excited about a third season of Euphoria after watching this garbage. So let me know in the comments below. This is the first time I've really talked about like a TV show on the channel. If you want to see me talk a little bit more about TV shows, I just wanted to put this out because it's just another example of like Hollywood being trash right now, writing being trash in modern entertainment. And I was curious to see what people think. So remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.